about. So, first ride, obviously I took it from the dock here, but a bit of a heavier one than an old two-stroke. So those handlebars feel quite wide. That's the first thing I would say. Definitely quite wide, but I guess the elevated position could theoretically help more for the Trixx. It remains to be seen if I'm going to like that when you actually get into the aggressive course riding. Now, this has been, let's start him up. Ooh, that TR1 sounds nice. This has been pre-broken, which is great. I think it's had 3 hours on it, so we can go hooligan mode on it. Should we just go for a launch straight away? Let's put the trim TDE forward. Direction, I can't remember what, I don't actually remember what all of the terminology is. So I'm so used to seadoo, I've got to get used to the trim. So I want to put it in the middle. Let's give this a launch. Okay. I'm taking a hell of a risk, guys. I've got a mic on, but I want you guys to get my reaction. That TR1 engine, it's got power in abundance. Woo! I'm gonna have some fun. Oh, it's quite switchy. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So one lap down, what I would say is it feels more twitchy, which I actually like in my ride because it reminds me of the 90s where you had to actually learn your stripes with these actual skis. But with that elevated handlebar and it being a bit more twitchy, I think there's going to be a bit more of a learning curve to this. I can't work out whether the handling is more precise from what I just felt there. It's going to let the big RXPs and Yamis get out of the way, and then we'll take it around the course for the first time. It's a nice intricate course here with a slalom. Right, they're busy racing. Woo! It feels fast! Okay, so it carves and turns harder, I would say. Slalom. Okay, so one lap down. It's definitely more twitchy. I'm not sure if it's too high, the handlebar, because I like to get into the corners. It definitely rails well, and the power's there when you put it down. Woo! It's loose! Okay, so I think I've identified what's going on. As you're prepping from the corner, for the corner, it's a little bit snappy, which I think will take some getting used to. The Spark's quite compliant in that regard. I've definitely identified, I don't necessarily dislike it. So used to riding a Spark that if you've rode a Spark lots, you're going to notice that straight away. It carves hard, but it's definitely twitchier. And what I would say is it doesn't settle for the corner. And I think that's to do with the handlebars. They need to be lower. So the one obvious thing, the elephant in the room to get out of the way straight away, that TR1 engine is a performance engine in comparison to the 900 Ace. I can't help it. The more I sort of pull that throttle, the more I just feel that I'm on a performance machine. Now the bit you all care about is the playful tricks. Now I'm going to do a couple, most notably the wheelie, which you want to see, right? Is it as playful as the Spark? Let's put the trim up. I've noticed that the trim is a little bit slower to react, and maybe the reversing system is a little bit slower than IBR. Definitely slower in the transition of that, but this dash is beautiful. So let's give it a wheelie. Okay, so it goes up easier than the previous iteration. Yeah, so you can wheelie it easy. I need to play around with it more to see if it's Spark easy. Okay, so it's a very Yamaha characteristic, a handling characteristic, that it feels wiggly and squirrely, and it reminds me of the Raider in that regard a little bit. As you get up and you're doing that wheelie, with the Spark you can make micro adjustments. I definitely find that, I obviously only weigh 70 kilos, so I'm a fairly small rider, but I definitely find it easier to hold and sustain it on a Spark. But that being said, I'm not going super hard. Let's see how loose this is in terms of spinning it. Semi-terrified because I have a mic on, but let's see. Put the trim down. Okay, so that trim definitely needs to be slightly faster, because I know when I'm messing around, I want more. Okay, so the ass does flick, and that's not even fast. Let's give it a bit more. Woo! Okay, they've definitely introduced a more playful characteristic. What I look for in all of my rides is the ability for the back end to flick and be loose. And I love that characteristic in the Spark, and this has definitely got it. Now I heard a critique of this online, that the top deck plastic and the underside hull, which obviously fiberglass, they don't feel connected. Let's do some bunny hops and see if that's true. I'm not feeling any of those slappy characteristics. What I would say is it feels heavier inherently than a Spark. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'm not sure, because when you take it around the course, it feels more dialed in, like a performance racing machine. And it really excites me, because the concept of this ski is that it's not perfect just yet, but you can, with modifications, get it to 57. And from what I've experienced around the course initially, I think that this is probably a more effective cornering ski once you learn how to ride it. Now that's music to our ears, because I talk all the time about a machine that you have to learn how to ride it. It's not out of the box as easy as a Spark, that's what I would say. And that fundamentally, I think, is to do with the heightened handlebars and the wide handlebars. They are particularly wide. That's the biggest thing you're going to notice straight away. Almost like riding a Harley Davidson. Let's give it a couple more laps around the course. It feels fast. Going through chop fine. See if I can entice a Spark rider into race. Yeah, it's a carving machine, but you need to learn how to carve it. Woo! It's so squirrely. best way to describe it. Suck yourself. Woo, that's nice. Oh, this war between Seadoo and Yamaha is going to be so good. Yeah, it feels more like a race-ready ski, if that's even possible on this sort of platform. It's just kind of there. It wants to dig in a bit more, but that is a characteristic you kind of do associate with more race. Yeah, like it wants to dig in. Woo! Caso's screaming like a little girl. So I'm not sure if it's possible, but it feels less compliant in a good way. I hate compliance in my ride, and the seadoo has got to a point where it's so compliant that you can basically learn it in a couple of laps. I think this is going to keep you guessing longer. There are for sure some irritations with it, most notably already I can feel my shoulders, like I feel like I'm shrugging too much. I really want to be down lower, Yamaha. That's one thing you need to introduce. Now, what I would say is there's no flex in these bars like Seadoo. Seadoo have got a common thing with the bushings where they go after excessive amounts of stress and strain, but this just feels so high to me. What about the leg placement? So I spoke a little bit about these in the PDI day. I mean, they do feel a bit plasticky. I think they need to be a bit more padded. And the hump seat, in my opinion, I want to come back more. So it's quite hard to say if that's contributing to the riding. So I think I had to characterize this, bearing in mind this is a couple of laps in, really going to spend some more time on this. I've spent so much time on the Spark Right, it's really hard to sort of put that in one pigeonhole and just focus on what this is good for. And I think for me, it was always about getting away from the compliance and moving slightly more towards a machine that required more skill, more power. And for sure, this is still only let's do a top speed run quickly, but this is only a 53 miles an hour ski. So it's by no means a top speed monster yet, but it can be tuned. So let's do a top speed run. All of you guys are probably gonna say, you need your trim here. It keeps irritating. When I go to just put it into the middle, it keeps saying, okay, so you have to put it in forward for it to allow you to adjust the trim. Got it, right. Put all my weight to the back, push down. Just put the trim down one more, actually. What are we gonna get? So guys, as I was saying there, 53 miles an hour, that's your top speed, that's your lot. You would need to remap this, impeller, wear ring, and that will get you to 57. We've seen that on the EX tons of times, so I think that this is the way more capable engine. I think with a few tweaks, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud because I'm an OEM guy, but with some aftermarket handlebars, lower positioning, so you get that better riding posture. Maybe some padding. I think these could do with definitely some padding because they're not really working like the Ergolock. And I would say the ergonomics of this at the moment is forcing you to want to push backwards to get your arms a little bit more extended. But it's exciting for sure. It gives us that flavor, right? Everyone said to me, Joe, you're a Sea-Doo guy. How can you be riding a Yamaha? Well, I ultimately want competition because competition is what actually pushes both of the manufacturers, well, hopefully 3 manufacturers if Kawasaki enter the race. But it actually pushes the machines in the direction we want. And this is obviously their second iteration of the JetBlaster, and things are only going to get better. I think it was the right move going for a top deck polypropylene. It definitely is lighter now, more playful. I'll continue to do loads of tricks and stuff. I'm going to drop the mic off now so I can be a bit more of a hooligan. And I think that it's getting closer to the Spark. I wouldn't say that it's exactly a Spark replica. A lot of people are saying it's a Spark ripoff. Absolutely not. This has got its own quirks and it's got its own identity, and I think that's important. Every machine, I think, should have an identity. As we come into the dock, I need to get used to this new reversing system, guys. I'm so used to the IBR system. I would say this is slower to react than IBR. It actually feels almost like a slow brake. Obviously, it's such a cool detail.